All right, welcome to another episode of the Big J Little J Show. If you're just tuning in for the first time, I am the Little J at J Man's Takes on Twitter. With me, as always, is Big J Connor O'Neill from the Devils Illustrated. In today's episode, we'll briefly recap Duke's Thanksgiving win against Arkansas, 80-71, and then last night, Duke's thrilling 67-66 win against Florida. We'll talk about both games, what that means for the preview as we look ahead to Michigan State as we close up shop on the episode. It's a busy Saturday for Connor and I as Duke basketball plays at noon on Saturday, and Duke football plays 8 p.m. AC Championship game against Virginia. But first, before we get into it, Connor, a word from our sponsors. Legacy Safe. Legacy Safe is a secure cloud-based platform for individuals, couples, and families tailored for organizing personal account information, legal documents, assets, and more. It is designed to provide individuals with reassurance that their affairs will be managed effectively once they have passed. Legacy Safe is a website that gives you a platform to have all of your affairs in order, and the website is legacysafe.info. That is legacysafe.info. I'm already smiling. Are you looking to buy or sell a home in North Carolina? Whether you're moving across town or across the state, Jacob Mann with DXP Realty is here to help make your real estate journey smooth, strategic, and stress-free. Connor looking like that is terrifying. From first-time buyers to seasoned investors, he knows North Carolina and how to get results. Connect with Jacob today at 336-266-9088 or on Instagram at the.real.estate.man. And let's make your next move the best one yet. All right, now for the people that are still watching this and not scared shitless after Connor just was staring at the camera, what we're going to start off with Duke beating Arkansas 80-71 on Thanksgiving. Connor, look, it was Duke got up they got up double digits, 13 early against Arkansas. It was a double-digit lead, and Arkansas chipped away to where they ended up taking the lead in the second half. I can't remember how big.
I was thinking, didn't Arkansas start off hot? Arkansas led for the first 10 minutes, and then Isaiah Evans hit 3 threes, and
correct
out rolling downhill.
Yes, yeah, that's a better way to put it. We can start from the top. That Duke won 80-71. Arkansas did start off hotter than Duke, and then Nick Kaminia came in and was an Energizer bunny for Duke. He played 28 minutes, but right away he got in the film breakdown that I had with Arkansas. Got to the line twice within like a minute of playing, was active on the defensive glass. Offensively, he moved the ball around, and he got rewarded for his efforts against Arkansas by getting the start last night against Florida. Unfortunately for him, he sprained his ankle, and, he came back in the game, but clearly was affected by it. He had a quiet game against Florida. So Nick Kaminia played really well in that game against Arkansas. But, yeah, look, it's crazy that Cam Boozer had 35 and 9 against Arkansas and was not a part of the game for the first 10 minutes. Like, he scored 35 points in 30 minutes. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. He is a freight train, driving left or right. He's able to make some timely threes. Thinking more about last night and Duke being 0 of 9 in the second half before he hit a wing three like 10 feet away from me. He's just, but I go back to the term. He's just downhill driving. He's got kind of the same quality that I talk about with a few of the guys last year, where if he gets two hands on the ball, you feel pretty good about him having possession of the ball. Like, he's just so damn strong. And that's what's most impressive about him as a freshman. I mean, he's got these strong ass hands. He's got these tree trunks for legs. Like, he's just built and advanced for his age. And that's why the stat that if you stay in the media room long enough at Cameron, you come up with some stats together. And shout out to Kyle Serba with Duke Communications for this one too. Cam Boozer has 5 games in his first 9 of 25 points or more. That's already tied for the 8th most of any Duke freshman. It's tied with Jabari Parker. Oh, and wow. The names ahead of him on the list are exactly the ones you'd expect. I mean, it's Zion, RJ, Jaleel Okafor, I think, has 6. The others, Paolo, Cooper, but none of the guys, no Duke freshmen has ever scored 25 or more in 5 of their first 9 games in their career. So he's one of one company in that regard right now.
Yeah, I mean, and the teams that they've played too. I mean, they played Kansas, who looks really good without Darren Peterson. They'll come back with him being stronger than ever. That win looks even more impressive after what they did over Thanksgiving week. And then Arkansas solid, and obviously Florida last night. I was blown away with Thomas Houck that we'll talk about for the Florida recap. That's just that front court was insane, just the size they had. And so, yeah, 3 ranked teams. Duke's undefeated. And they won these games in different fashions, but the ranked opponents that they played have all been different. Arkansas was led by Darius Acuff in their guard play, and Acuff is one of my favorite guards to watch in college basketball. He might be my favorite guard to watch outside of me being a Duke homer, and then Florida's bigs with Thomas Houck. So to win 2 games basically in a week with 2 different types of scouting reports it's impressive for a young team to where, I mean, I know they have senior Malik Brown coming off the bench, and Pat and Isaiah came back, and Caleb Foster's back, but they all have increased roles as we talked about in the preseason. So to see them learning how to win, being those key guys in those moments is fascinating to watch. And we are 7 minutes in almost here, and I got to give Caleb Foster his flowers for the Arkansas game. 15 points, 8 assists. He did have 4 turnovers, but those are the things that he needed to go through to just make his potential even greater. Like, he's not going to have 8 assists. This first 8 assist game, he's not going to have 1 or 2 turnovers. He needs to learn how to take care of the ball, and he learned in those moments. And I thought he was awesome for Duke, and him hitting that 3 where he pump faked, Brazil went flying, sidestep 3 to, I think, put Duke up 4. And before that, he had that lefty layup in the lane that was tough as the shot clock was winding down. He has made big plays for Duke against Arkansas and then against Florida, where he stripped Boogie Flan at the end of the game. I know he didn't make his front end of the 1-and-1, but he stripped Boogie Flan, and
did you see the replay? Boogie dribbled off his foot.
Good defense, Caleb Foster. That's a steal, baby. Way to lock him up.
Like, I don't mean that to take credit away from him. He probably there's a degree of it that he dribbled off of his foot because of the blitz by Cam Boozer and Caleb Foster trapping him out there in kind of no man's land. But he dribbles off his foot, and then, to Caleb's credit, he gets on the floor in front of him, and before sliding out of bounds or before getting tied up, he has the wherewithal to throw it from his back to Cam Boozer.
Yeah,
but it was not a strip.
He was awesome though against Arkansas, and I wanted to ask him. I'll ask him next game. The way he shoots the 3, like when he takes one dribble to the right and a guy goes under the screen and he just steps right and then comes back into it's just literally one dribble, one step, and then he shoots it. It's like LeBron James, where he just spins the ball and waits for the defender and he shoots it. It's just automatic. It's just a simple motion that really doesn't affect anything in the game, but somehow he's wide open when he does it, and it goes in 100% of the time. And he did it against Florida last night. The 1-3 he made that move, and then he did that against Arkansas in one of the 3s that he made. But he was fantastic. 15 points, 8 assists against Arkansas, and the way he gets in the lane creates so many opportunities for Duke to score. Like, he gets so deep into the paint where he can finish. He'll shoot a little floater, get to the cup, or he'll kick it out to Cam Boozer for that pick and pop 3. Or when they're so deep inside the paint because of Caleb Foster, kicks out to Cam Boozer, they go flying off balance on a closeout. Here goes a freight train. Like, get off the tracks when train's coming through, butthead. And he lays it in. You like that reference there, Connor?
I don't think the line was butthead.
Yeah, it was Rube. Yeah,
Rube. It was Rube. Okay.
Rube didn't cuss. Major League 2 for people that are like, what are you talking about? So, yeah, Caleb Foster is just so good at initiating the offense by getting deep inside the paint.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to have this discussion. One guy scored 35 points. One guy scored 15 points against Arkansas. I thought the guy that had 15 points had the 2 biggest shots of the night for Duke. I thought the guy that scored 35, the most important shot that he made wasn't even a shot. It was a lob that happened to go so far bad it was good. I know it's not. It is not quite that black and white, but the 3-pointer. I think Arkansas was up 7, and Caleb hit a 3 to get Duke going with like a 9 or 10 minutes left, and then the 3 right after Malik Thomas threw in a absolute prayer over Hamenya that made it a 1-point game. Duke comes right back down and hits a 3 and gets it back to 4. I don't think that was the game, but I remember thinking like, okay, that's if that shot doesn't go, I think Duke probably loses. That shot goes, and it's like, okay, they can close from here.
Yeah, I agree. And I misspoke earlier. I said Duke got up to like a 13-point lead. It was a 10-point lead in the first half, and then Arkansas came back. I'm laughing because I forgot about this in the Arkansas game when Duke took the lead in the second half. You know how they took the lead in the second half, or one of the instances they took the lead in the second half. I'll just spoil it right now. Pat Gong was shooting the 3 in the corner, hitting the side of the backboard, getting his own rebound, missing that layup, and then laying that one in. That was just, I said in the film breakdown, I was like, this is a definition of a no, yes possession, where you're like, no, yes. And Duke went up 2.
Yeah. He Cade Tyson that one.
Yeah, he did.
At least had the wherewithal to follow it. That reminds me of the other storyline from that game was those we've now mentioned the 3 players that scored in the second half for Duke against Arkansas. And Pat Gongbo only had 6, and he had 2 buckets early, and then that bucket with, I think there were maybe 4 or 5 minutes left on the clock when he had that one. That was the only non-Boozer or Foster points in the last like maybe 9 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that.
It was 5:20 to go. It was with 5:20 to go.
Gotcha. So, and that goes into the discussion everybody wants to have when they're not talking about Duke being undefeated is this team's flaws and how they are going to need a second option. I would say their second option is whoever's hot on any given night. And it was Caleb Foster against Arkansas. Last night they got a huge all-around performance from Pat Ngongba, and then Isaiah Evans only hits 1 3, but he still has 13 points. Like he still gets you some points. It's not all or nothing from behind the arc. And behind the arc, he makes the biggest shot of the game and probably biggest shot of Duke's season so far.
Yeah. Way to spoil the Duke Florida one here, Connor, but it's fine.
Do you think our listeners don't know that part yet?
No, they don't. They're waiting for the Big J Little J show to
they're sitting down there in Uruguay and they're waiting to learn.
Yeah, shout out to you over here. Listen to the Big J Little J on my Spotify rap somehow. So shout out to you that is listening to this episode, because I say you because I think it's just one. Yeah, I want to talk about the Duke Arkansas the Calipari matchup with Cam Boozer before we pivot to the Florida game. He decided to keep Brazil on an island against him. Outside of the one play that ended up being a 3-point play that he actually hooked Pringle, not Trevin Brazil. I thought that could have been an offensive foul, but they gave Duke the and one. And then obviously anti-Duke people on Twitter, like all Cam Boozer does is extend the elbow. Happened one play. My point, though, is I'm very surprised and shocked that Cal went to just like, hey, we'll let one guy beat you, won't let anybody else beat us. And he quite literally did. I mean, 35 points in 30 minutes, because like I said, the first 10 minutes he wasn't involved. And it was interesting tactic that he didn't change it, but it was different than what Bill Self did. Bill Self trapped on the catch. And I thought, as we'll go into the Florida game, I thought they were going to trap off the dribble or something. And in the first half, it was kind of the same story that happened against Arkansas, where Florida was letting them play one-on-one with their bigs against Cam Boozer, and Duke got out to a 13-point lead at half because Cam Boozer was 6-9, I think it was, in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a, I feel like we're going to be talking about Cam Boozer like we've talked about Duke's offense football-wise for the last 3 months. It's a pick your poison proposition. I mean, do you stop him or do you let him get his and try to cut the water off of everybody else? I think if I'm putting all my what I think is happening in other people's scouting departments or meetings, I think those decisions get made 2 days before the game when the scout goes in, and I think there's less mid game adjusting. I think in this day and age of college basketball than there used to be. I think teams are I think Calipari decided 2 days before the game, like we'll try to trust our guy against him. Yeah, I don't have much more to add on that. I think that the game plan dictates a lot of that.
Yeah.
That I think there's not as much adjusting.
And look, the first half Duke dominated. It was 36-24 at halftime. And I have it here in my notes that I had tweeted about. So if you follow me on Twitter, you saw this. But outside of Houck, 6 of 9 in the first half for Florida, Florida shot 4 of 26.
Yeah,
Like,
their guards were combined 2 for 17.
Yeah, the guards are 2 of 17. Duke made it tough for them. And Xavier Lee's just been bad for Florida outside the Providence game. He's just – I talked about it on Sleepers Media Recap. Like, he just – they got it. He's trying to shoot too difficult of shots for his first shots of the game. And I said maybe to get out of that, maybe Boogie Flan's the point guard for the first 5 minutes of the game, and you have Xavier Lee in the corner. All you do is just catch and shoot. It's kind of like how Tyrese Proctor would somehow get in rhythms for Duke, where, he was kind of the second day. He was like kind of the shooting guard sometimes on Duke's offense, and he would make a couple knockdown catch and shoots, and then all of a sudden here he goes with his little ISO step back mid range, and it'd go in because he started feeling the rhythm. And that's kind of like Xavier Lee, except Xavier Lee's just like, I'm gonna dribble the air out of the ball. Here comes a step back. Oh, clank. Here comes another step back. Clank. Here comes a turnover, and he's forcing it. And Duke did a really good job of defending him. That's Caleb Foster, unbelievable on-ball defender. He really had Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee fighting for their lives in the first half. Boogie Flan hit a 3 that got him going. He wedged a 3 late in the first half. I think Duke was up 14 when the ball just wedged and then went in, and then he got hot in the second half, and Boogie Flan almost led I'll say Arkansas because he came from Arkansas, almost led Florida to a surprising upset win at Duke. And but as you know, Isaiah Evans, which I'm going to talk about that shot in a second, I just thought Duke did a really good job with their defense assignments with the guard play.
Yeah, I would add on Xavier Lee. Not that this will apply, I think, ever again. Like, because this is last year of eligibility.
I think so.
So barring nothing, but I'm sure it'll apply when Florida travels to some SEC places. Probably needs to stop worrying about what the crowd is saying to him and about him, because he was way too invested in what the crazies were saying about him on the court last night, and it showed. And to throw it back with a kind of back in the day reference, Michigan came to Cameron for the Big Ten ACC Challenge in like 2013 after they had gone to the national championship game. Nick Stauskas was a big-time shooter on that team as a freshman, and then he was back as a sophomore. He had a 1 for 11 or 1 for 12 in Duke because he was just way too enamored with the crazies and playing around with them and giving the shit talk back. And I got the same vibes last night from Xavier Lee. Like, he came out, he checked into the game one time, and it was obviously a dead ball, and he walked toward the crazies and did a shooting motion as they were taunting him. And it was just like, dude, what are you doing?
I was wondering what hit me when he shot it. I know he was aiming for the crazies, and it hit me in the head. But yeah, he's talented. He lost the mind game. Basketball, sports in general, especially at the high level, is a lot of it's mental, and the crazies got into his head. Like, if you're that concerned with what they're chanting, you go 1 for 10, and it's just that's good by Duke, good scouting, make everything tough for him, and he's been struggling this year. But I'll talk about the 3 before we go more into the game, because I did not realize this last night, and I'm very upset about it. for the presser because it's going to come on my film breakdown. I am 95% positive that the play that won Duke the game was the same exact play Duke ran right before the halftime against Kansas, where Isaiah hit the three before the buzzer sounded. And it was Cam Boozer, go screen with Isaiah. He passed to Isaiah. He hits the three, and it went in against Kansas right before half. Does the same thing against Todd Golden, Florida, to win the game. And I'm very mad at myself that I did not think of that in the presser because, one, I was on cloud nine for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, biased little J Duke fan here. But two, this is my first time ever being in Cameron in a big game. So, like, just, me with basketball background, just the juices were flowing like I was in that game. Like, just back and forth, just punch after punch late down the stretch. I was just grinning ear to ear. Even when like Boogie Flane hit the shot, I was like, damn, that's a tough shot. And like this atmosphere, damn, Isaiah just blew the roof off. It was so loud. Like I could see people making noise, but I couldn't hear the noise they were making because it was just it was just deafening. It was crazy loud, but awesome atmosphere. I just thought it was really cool that it was the same play design or similar play design as the Kansas right before halftime where Isaiah hit the three. And shout out to Shire sticking with his guns. Isaiah was 0 of 7 from 3 all game. And maybe those 2 technical foul free throws got him going because when he went to the line, I was like, oh, I'm surprised he didn't put Pat up there because Pat, was 10 of 11 a few games ago from the free throw line. Like, well, if Isaiah hits this, maybe he gets going. The next 3 he missed, but then the next 3 he shot after that, he made. And it was the game winner.
Yeah, it probably helped him to have some free throws where he didn't have to be fading one way or the other or shooting a step back fadeaway. Like some of the threes he took in front of us in the second half were like, wow, that's a really low percentage shot. And I know he shoots low percentage shots and makes some high percentage shots when it's going, but he has a tendency to make the easy ones hard or more difficult than they need to be.
I saw
a little bit of that when he was 0 for 7 to start from 3-point range.
Yeah, I thought all of them except for one was a good look. The one that was not a good look was when Halk had that sweet dunk rip through, punched it, and then he tries to pull up for a transition 3 after a made basket, and it grazed the front of the rim within 2 seconds after the dunk. And I was like, that's not the look. Oh, the other ones, though, came off the flare screens and stuff. I thought were good looks, but I see what you're saying, like the way that his body was kind of torqued while he was shooting it. But he has that rhythm, and he found it when Duke needed the most. I was impressed with his finishing around the rim against the best front court that he's going to face in terms of size and talent. Like he was, how many points did he have? 14?
13.
13. And he did well around the rim. The only layup I think he missed was the one that kind of slipped out of his left hand and hit the padding. But besides that, or he missed another one too, but he played well going to the cup. And I was proud of him for making that shot. And I know how like a lightning strike he was against Auburn where he just lit it on fire. But that was kind of like, a no pressure situation. You're just coming in and now here's your time to shine. If you mess up, so what? You get pulled as a freshman to now you are one of the guys and you hit the shot as a guy for Duke. I mean, he's called Showtime for a reason.
It is funny that he has 2 ACC SEC challenge games. In the first one, he hit 6 threes in the first half. Didn't do jack shit in the second half. I think he might have only played a couple minutes in the second half against Auburn last year.
Yeah, he didn't play much.
And then the second game, he doesn't hit a 3 until there's 19 seconds left, and it's a go-ahead shot that Duke has to have. And it's kind of a stark contrast of each game. But, I mean, both times it's like, wow, that is what a pure shooter looks like and a microwavable scorer. And you can see the growth. I mean, it's right there. Like, he's got 10 points before he scores a 3 against Florida. 5 blocks, which is more. Granted, obviously the role change here is everything about this, but 5 blocks is more than he had in all of last season.
Yeah, and what was the stat? Him and Pat Gungber are the first teammates to hit a 3 and have 5 block shots in the game in the last 15 years.
Yeah, I think the stat was worded that nobody has done it in 15 years, which is one of those where it's like, okay, it hasn't happened in 15 years. It might have not have happened in like 25 years. There wasn't like a sense on that
Yeah,
stat. It was
it
just
didn't say the other teammates that did it 15 years ago. It just kind of
right,
said like, it goes back as far as 15 years.
right.
Yeah, because what 30 years it's hairy territory because 3-point line is starting to not exist like in
Yeah,
30, 40
the
years
the
ago.
3-point line came in 86, 87.
Okay, yeah, 45, 40. Good Lord, that is a long time ago. We're getting old. My God.
Yeah.
But it's a hell of a stat though. And I want to talk about the final play of the game, Malik Brown, and then I want to talk about some Todd Golden. But Malik Brown had the deflection to win the game for Duke. All-time moment, all-time clip, a close-up of him and or Shire going right at him and just chest bumping him. And Shire was ecstatic, like he was a player. Like it was awesome to watch a coach and player have an interaction. But you were with me when we went to the locker room. I went up to Malik Brown, just asked him like how did he do it essentially, and he just told me that he baited Houck into throwing it because he had his hands down the whole time. So Houck didn't think he was going to put his hands up. And when he saw Houck put the ball over his head, that's when he made the move to put his hands up like Malik Brown does because he has reflections of a cat or reflexes of a cat and reaches up, deflects the ball, clock runs, and when Duke catches it, the time expires and the place goes nuts. Just Malik Brown is a magician when it comes to pass deflections.
Reflections of a Cat. Is that a song from Cats?
Reflexes of a cat, not reflections. It's been a long ass day. Reflexes.
No, we make jokes like you have your swiper swipe joke, and I say Malik Brown believes that an angel gains its wings every time he forces a jump ball, but it's so valuable. Even I can't remember what the circumstance was of the situation, but I feel like it's never going to show up in a box score, but when somebody gets a defensive rebound and they're looking to fast break and he just pokes the ball out, and even if it goes 20 feet in the air and goes out of bounds and it's their ball, you're taking away a transition chance just by having really quick hands. And you're opening up the possibility of if he pokes it out of there and it happens to go to somebody on Duke, it's an extra possession. He
had one deflection. His hands are so strong because he had one deflection that was in front of me where it looked like he just like tipped it like this, like his wrist just went like that, and the ball went like 8 rows in the stands.
Yeah.
It looked like OJ Mayo throwing the ball into the bleachers when he won the state championship. I was like, how did you just do that? Just flicking your wrist against another Division I player, and it went flying in the stands like it was a t-shirt toss. Look, I'm never going to bring a girl to a Duke game because he might just steal her from me. Like I'm not letting anybody that I love near Malik Brown because his hands are always active. I left Connor speechless.
I'm trying not to say something mean. That was as cringy as 6'7" jokes.
Oh, come on. That's not that bad. That's not that bad.
But no, he is. I feel like we've been saying this since last year, and it hasn't changed that much. But I think you have to keep saying it so that it doesn't get lost in translation. It doesn't get taken for granted. He does so many things that don't show up in a box score, other than in the plus minus category, and he brings so much value in that way. The other part of it, he played 23 possessions at the 3 last night. He does not play the 3 for this team. He played. We did the research. Brendan pulled up CBB analytics. I cross-referenced it with Evan Mia. We figured out he Cam Boozer and Pat Gongba had played 6 possessions, basically 3 minutes on the court together before the Florida game. They played 23 possessions against Florida. And that's what they had to do because Thomas Houck is a monster, and like draft that guy in the first round tomorrow. And Duke got a virtual 0 out of the two guys that play the 3 for them. Like Dame Sarr and Nicholas Menia were not ready for that Thomas Houck experience. I think Thomas Houck was almost licking his chops, like literally licking his chops when he saw Nick Menia on the court against him.
I think that it was also just had to play in the fact that Duke just was not rebounding the ball well at all.
Yes.
And you're not going to get that with Menia or Sarr playing the 3 against that physical, experienced front court.
Yeah, and that's I think when I asked Shire about that in the post game, and that's what I think Shire was alluding to when he answered the question about with talking about how you're trying to figure out how to get your most competitive group on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every rebound in last night's game was a hand-to-hand combat type of situation. And in that situation, like you want Malik Brown on the court. You want a senior forward who's been in the wars, played in the Final Four last year, has played in big ACC games. That's the guy you want out there in that situation.
And that was one reason, or the main reason Florida came back. They had 2 second chance points on 10 offensive rebounds in the first half, but then in the second half, they had 13 second chance points on 10 offensive rebounds. So I knew, like, though Duke was up 12 at half, I'm like, this is an anomaly to hold a team to 2 points off of 10 offensive rebounds. And Duke was not going to find a solution to get them off the glass. Like, they were big as hell. And they had 13 points in the second half off of 10 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, and the 2 points in the first half, they were 20 seconds into the game. That was Chinyelu scored on a third shot of a possession on the first possession of the game.
They had 7 rebounds to Duke's 2 to start the game.
Yeah, and Florida kept getting offensive rebounds in the first half. And at one point I looked down at I think it was like the under 4. I looked and I was like, yeah, it feels like they're dominating Duke on the glass and they have all these offensive rebounds. They've only scored 2 points off of them. It's not hurting Duke on the scoreboard. It's hurting Duke because they're playing defense for 45 seconds, but it wasn't a factor on the scoreboard until they started putting the ball in the second half.
I mean, that's really how Florida just scored. Like I don't know if you know the stat, Connor, but out of Florida's 25 made field goals, how many were assisted?
Oh, I got this one. 4.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable defense that you're not letting a team do anything offensively, and they're playing hero ball. And Boogie Flambeau took him to the promised land playing hero ball down the stretch, and shout out to him for that. But Duke holding a team to 4 assists on 25 made field goals, and 7 of them are around the rim for second chance points. So it's like it's just a fantastic defense.
You know what it gives you more appreciation for too if you're a Duke fan?
What's that?
Having 3 bigs that really know how to pass the damn ball.
Yeah, I would love for 3 bigs to rebound a little bit better, but passing is great. Passing has been phenomenal. They're the best front court passers, best passing front court in college basketball, bar none. And Gongba hit to start the second half, hit a backdoor. I think it was to Malik on a pass. And I was like, my God, or Isaiah, one of the two, he threaded the needle. And I was like, wow. And then him and Malik, he threaded the needle to Malik later in the second half is what I'm thinking of too.
Yeah, that was one of the ATOs.
Yeah. And that's what I want to get to now, Connor, is Duke or Shire was fantastic calling, just coaching. And I think Duke won. Obviously, Duke won on the scoreboard, but I think John Shire outcoached Todd Golden. And I say that because just the main reason that Todd Golden has zero composure on a sideline. And it's not the first time I watched Todd Golden on a sideline. I watched him in the Final Four. I watched him in the national championship game. And this is the third time I've watched him. And he'll always have that national championship. So I'm not taking that away from him. I'm just saying he complains, he bitches to the refs more than anybody I've seen. And it comes off like Dan Hurley gets on the refs, but Dan Hurley has like some sort of intimidation factor when he yells. Like if Dan Hurley's yelling at me, I'm like, oh shit. If Todd Golden's yelling at me. I'm like, dude, shut the hell up. Just shut up. My God. Like, that's the two different ways of yelling at a referee. And you could see Roger Ayers and them like snapping back at him. Like, dude, be quiet. Like, we're giving you a million opportunities not to get teed up. Just shut up. And it showed like during the timeouts, if it was a 30-second timeout, the first 15 seconds, he's still talking to Roger Ayers. Duke's in a huddle, and Duke had 18 points after timeouts because Todd Golden just didn't have his team ready.
So the refs were giving him chances. They stopped at some point because in the second half, when there were free throws on Duke's end, Roger Ayers was at midcourt with his back to Florida's bench, and Golden was in the coach's box screaming at him, and Ayers would not turn around. Like, Ayers did not acknowledge him, did not do anything. And eventually Golden just yelled, "Okay, so you're not going to talk to me?"
I saw him do something similar. I saw him like that because I saw Roger or official like basically put his hand up like, shut up. Like, shut up. And
yeah, this wasn't that time. This was Roger just fucking stone-faced.
When Cam Boozer got fouled, and he got fouled on the floor, but they called it on the shot. It was like he kind of threw up a 1-footer, like he off of 1 foot. It was a bad shot, and they called it a shooting foul. I don't know if you saw Todd Golden when that happened, but he dropped to his knees, on both knees. And he was like this, like on his knees like this. It was like the girl that scored the game-winning soccer goal for USA back in like 99.
Oh, my God.
That's what it reminded me of. I'm like, dude.
Randy Chastain reference in here.
Yes, have some pride. You're a national champion, and you're over here pleading like you're a 5-year-old about a call. And then he has the audacity to complain at the presser about the dead ball technical foul because Gungba got elbowed in the face. He's like, we shot 2 free throws, but then they got 2 free throws on a dead ball technical. Like, yeah, he got elbowed in the face. You wanted Malik Brown ejected for reaching in to try and rip a ball away with one hand. And when he tried to rip the ball out, his elbow accidentally hit your player in the face. And you were raising hell that he didn't get ejected for a flagrant 2 because you thought it was so violent. So give me a break. He's the biggest baby in college basketball, and he's a winner. So, yeah, he's a winner, but God, he's a baby.
If you're talking biggest baby in college basketball, I think everybody else is playing for second.
Yeah. Or like, are you saying Todd Golden's first and then?
No, I'm saying Dan Hurley's first.
Dan Hurley is more of a dick. Like, he's not like a baby. He's just more of just like, he's a Hurley. He is a Hurley. That's the best way to describe him.
Were you there in Raleigh when he was leaving the court telling Baylor, "I hope they don't fuck you. I hope they don't fuck you like they fucked us"? And then
that was a great clip.
And had his SID go track down the person who filmed that and tell them they were going to ruin their life.
He's just a hothead. You're making a great case that Dan Hurley is the biggest baby, but to me, still, Dan Hurley at least has some sort of intimidation factor. Like, if he yelled at me to delete it, I'm like, okay. If Todd Golden yelled at me to delete it, I'm like, go F off. Like, go screw yourself. You do not bother me. And this
feels like an appearance discussion where you're scared of Dan Hurley because he looks like a psychopath and he's bald, and Todd Golden looks like he could double as a, New York stocks broker.
I think we're peeling layers back. Yeah, I think you might be onto something, but it just. I don't know. When I look at those two guys yelling and complaining, I'm looking at one that's just an asshole and one that's just an annoying person. Like, that's just how I view it. But to your point, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will side with you. Like, they don't like Dan Hurley. I've always liked him just because Hurley's like, I always like him. He's Bobby Hurley's brother, and the Hurley's family is just a basketball legacy. So I guess I'm also biased in that regard. But I thought that.
I think it's time for Todd Golden to learn his beat up on basketball.
Yeah, I think Todd Golden needs to learn to just, hey, you're not going to get the calls. When he said in the postgame presser that you got to outscore Duke by 10 points, which is he's not the first coach to say that in Cameron. He stole that from other coaches that say that you got to be 10 points better than Duke and Cameron because you're not going to get a 50-50 whistle. You got to carry yourself that way as the head coach. You know adversity is inevitably going to hit you in the face. Stop complaining about it because you can't change that. Like, if that's truly how you feel, and to give him credit, the second half adjustment he made at halftime was fabulous because it went from a 12-point lead to a 4-point lead. They went on 9-0 run right away to start the second half. And you know why, Connor? Because during a timeout, he didn't yell at officials. He was in the locker room talking to his team. So if he would just done that a few more times in a timeout on the court, I think Florida wins the game.
I don't know what the big deal is. According to Ken Palm, Duke's home court advantage is 97th in Division I. Sounds like their crowd is pretty weak to me.
I did like that Duke did the blackout.
That's a complete joke, by the way.
No, I know.
I'm saying that for the listeners. I know I'm joking.
Oh yeah. Connor's obviously joking, but the blackout was really cool, and the energy was lively. It was awesome, and Shire even credited it with saying it was like one of the loudest he's ever heard Cameron. Let's wrap this up, Connor. So Duke 2-0. Now they're 3-0 against ranked opponents. They're what, 9-0 now?
9-0. Best. It's been the best start for a couple games now since the Marvin Bagley team, 2017-18. That team got to 11-0 before they lost.
Yeah, 9-0, and they keep winning games in different ways, and different players are stepping up in different moments. And like they have the lead horse. We know Cam Boozer's team, but it is nice to see a Caleb Foster step up down the stretch. It's nice to see Malik Brown making the game-winning deflection. It just goes to show like he was very much missed in the Final Four against Houston. Like, I'm not saying it would have turned out differently, but Malik Brown impacts winning, and it doesn't show up in a box score. So Duke has a big test Saturday. They play Virginia in the AC Championship game. I like what I did there. They play Michigan State at 12. And
started to worry about having a concussion here.
And Duke plays Michigan State at 12 at Michigan State. I've thought since the beginning of the season that this is the toughest game for Duke on the schedule because true road game, Duke, Michigan State, that's always a battle. They look good. They looked good against Carolina, and they're just rolling. And so it's something that I'm going to watch film on. I would love to somehow have a preview for it. I just don't know if I'll have time because after this, I'll start my film breakdown of the Duke Florida game to post by Thursday or Friday morning leading up to the Michigan State game, Connor. But look, I know I'm giving you a blind question here, but what does Duke need to do here to beat Michigan State on the road?
To me, it's a little bit status quo of what I said going into the Florida game. They've been pushed in all four marquee non-conference games. Like Texas was up at halftime. It was a funky game with the opener. Kansas pushed them with Flory Badunga being a monster in the first half. Trey White got going, and that was – I'm trying to remember the exact scores, but I can't. It was a tight game until Duke kind of closed it out down the stretch of that one.
Yeah.
Arkansas is up 7 with 10 minutes left. And then Florida, Duke leads for 35 minutes. All of a sudden, Florida takes a lead in the final minute. And one of the things we didn't talk about is that, but I wrote about at Devils Illustrated. You should subscribe. Duke in its ninth game did something that last year's team never did. They scored a go-ahead bucket in the last minute when they were trailing. Like, for as good as last year's team was, 35 wins in the Final Four, they never did that. Now,
right,
they didn't have to do it in a lot of games. Like,
but that was the narrative with that Duke team. Like when it was a one possession game, like Cooper Flagg didn't come through, and I'm not throwing him underneath the bus, but I mean that was the talking point that he wasn't the closer.
Yeah, and that will forever be what last year's team is remembered for. I mean, that game. Yeah,
that and Duke and Shire hasn't blinked with the strategy. Like he's doing the same thing with Cam Boozer did to Cooper Flagg. Cam Boozer has just made like the right reads in the ISO situation, whereas Cooper Flagg relied on his athleticism at times to shoot or take certain looks. The Houston one will always be a really good look. It just didn't go in. But, early in the season, Knippel slipped, I think it was. And one of those
Knipple had the turnover against Kansas. Cooper slipped on the floor against Kentucky with the wet spots.
That's right. That's right.
He slipped at Clemson too.
He sweats too much.
What?
He sweats too much.
Yeah. That's it's so far off topic, but there's not been a freshman that has cramping issues with this team.
Him and Paula Banchero.
Yeah.
That's true. Look, I do like Cam Boozer, and I like what I've seen with him down the stretch. He is a winner because he did struggle against Florida in the second half, and he was 1 of 5 from 3 in the second half, and the 1 3 he made was to put Duke up 3. So
and it was when Duke was 0 for 9 on threes in the second half.
Yeah.
Duke finished 2 for 3 on threes in the second half. The 2 makes. The one miss, we don't have to talk about, but it was not a very good one.
Yeah, we're not talking about that one. I know what you're talking about. Pat Gomber in the zone.
Yeah. But to sum things up and to get back at what you asked, Duke has been pushed in all these games, and Duke has found what it's taken to win each of them. Like they've dug deep. They've found different combinations and different players and different circumstances to win each time.
Yeah.
And so it's probably going to take something similar. Not probably. It will take something similar. I doubt Duke just boat races and front runs this thing in East Lansing and wins by 25 going away, and it's not a game in the second half. Like that's the scenario I can see playing out like as least likely.
Yeah,
so Duke is going to be pushed, and they're going to have to answer.
Yeah, I agree. I think my key to the game is, or before I give my key to the game, an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. I've said that since last year. I said that when Duke beat Arizona ugly on the road at Arizona. People were still talking about Duke's offense isn't going anywhere because they can't score the ball. And I'm like, I love this. I love a rock fight. And the Duke-Florida game was a rock fight. It was Florida was making everything difficult. Duke was 7 of 26 from 3. And they made everything difficult for Florida, only having 4 assists on 25 made field goals. It was it was just a high level ball game of two really good teams going at it and having to figure out a way to win the game. And Boogie Flame made a big shot, but here comes Isaiah with a big shot, and that's what excites me the most is seeing that a guy like Evans come through for Duke. And so, my key to the game though for Michigan State, because I think it's obviously going to be a huge test for Duke, is they can't shoot 7 of 26 from 3. The 3 ball has to be an ally for them in a big game. Like it has to be. And I think the defense will be fine. I think Michigan State kind of plays to a tempo where Duke is comfortable with playing defense. I don't think they can hold. I'm not expecting them to hold them 66 points like they did Florida, but maybe low 70s in the game. Are you on Ken Palm right now?
Mm-hmm.
Ken Palm has Duke losing this by 71-70. I just saw that. Okay. So that's kind of where I would put it. I would probably put it a little bit higher. I'd say like 74-71, 74-72. I don't know which way I'd go right now, but I feel like it's a low 70s game.
Yeah. I mean, Michigan's got the number 3 defense in Ken Palm. Everything about what I was hearing about this game and kind of trying to remote track it through last night and paying attention to the game that was happening in front of me. They just strangled Iowa 71-52, and I don't even know if it was that close. Iowa's only scorer in double figures was Bennett Sturtz, of course. Michigan State, let's see if I can do the quick math here. Michigan State beat them on the boards 37-18.
Jesus. So Duke's playing another team that can just crash the glass, and hopefully
it's an Izzo team, so you pencil that in.
Right. But I'm just saying, you go from Florida to Michigan State, who are physical on the glass. Like, hopefully there's learning a good, healthy film session of Duke's rebounding or lack thereof in certain times against Florida that they can fix for their game against Michigan State. Because one thing that Duke did a good job outside of the second chance points the last 2 games of Arkansas, in my opinion, with Arkansas and And Florida they didn't give up nearly as many points in the paint, or as easy as points in the paint as they did against Kansas, because that was the point of emphasis for the staff after the Kansas game. It was like, hey, just way too many layups and easy ones around the rim. Now, I don't know the points in the paint off the top of my head in comparison, but at least Florida's points in the paint came off of second chance points because they were just crashing the glass rather than getting straight line drives. And so Duke's defense, especially guard-wise, has gotten a lot better since the Kansas game to eliminate that aspect of it. And I think Duke's defense is going to travel. It's just the offense has to travel at some point, and it's a good test. I'm not going to take anything away from Duke if they lose this. The sky's not going to be falling for me unless it's obviously like a 20-point loss. Then we need to have a conversation. But it's going to be a good game. 12 o'clock on Saturday, a huge day for me and all the Duke fans out there. Duke basketball, 12 p.m. on Saturday versus Michigan State. Duke football, 8 p.m. against Virginia. Connor, it's for the AC Championship game. I'll see you there, and we'll see you guys in the next Big J Little J Show episode.